So generally speaking, an uncontested divorce is a divorce where you and your partner agree upon all of the decisions that need to be made in your divorce. So for instance, if you're getting divorced and you have children, you've got 5 issues that need to be resolved. You have spousal support, equitable distribution of assets, and then with respect to your children, you have a parenting plan, custody, meaning who's making decisions with respect to your children, and child support. So as long as the two of you have an agreement with respect to each of those issues, that would be an uncontested divorce because you can go right to drafting all the legal papers and submit them to the court. A contested divorce simply means that you don't agree on any of the issues. It doesn't mean that you don't agree on all of the issues, just some of the issues in the divorce you don't agree. And so it becomes a contested divorce until you do reach an agreement. Whether you need an attorney for an uncontested divorce is really up to you. There are documents that the courts are constantly updating and posting on the website for uncontested divorce papers for unrepresented litigants. It is possible that you can figure out the variety of paperwork that needs to be completed and submitted to the courthouse without an attorney. However, there are a lot of legal terms and legal decisions that are being made in your divorce, and you might want to get the advice of an attorney just to make sure that you're not giving up rights that you otherwise would be entitled to. The question as to whether an uncontested divorce is faster than a contested divorce is dependent upon whether and when the two of you reach agreements on all of the issues in your divorce. So while you may not have an agreement on all those 5 issues right from the get-go, meaning that you don't agree yet on division of assets, child support, spousal support, parenting plans, and how to make decisions for your children, you could eventually get there with the help of an attorney or another professional. So your case could still be considered an uncontested divorce, even if you don't initially agree upon the outcome of the divorce. Generally speaking, an uncontested divorce would be less expensive than a contested divorce simply because you reached agreements together with respect to the outcome of your divorce. You didn't need to involve the court. You didn't need to make many court appearances or make motion practice or seek a judge's decision with respect to some of the decisions in your divorce. However, your uncontested divorce, it really just means that both of you worked through the issues and you came to an agreement, whether you came to an agreement through one meeting of the minds or you needed to have multiple meetings over the course of several weeks or months. It still would be considered an uncontested divorce simply because you didn't have to file something specific before a judge and get a judge's involvement in your case. So whether the case is going to be less expensive or more expensive, it really depends upon the complexity of your situation. You can have a complicated uncontested divorce if there's a situation with respect to custody and parenting decisions, or maybe one of you is planning to move at some point and now you need to work out relocation and new parenting plans or visitation and access schedules in anticipation of that move. You could have a complicated uncontested divorce if you have a lot of assets that need to be reviewed and decisions need to be made on how to divide them. So there are a lot of different ways that the cost of your divorce could be less or more depending upon the specific circumstances in your situation. A divorce is a very traumatic event in a person's life. It's a big change in a person's life. Usually when people get married, they don't plan to ever get divorced. And so now if you're finding yourself in a situation where there's a breakup in your marriage, it's quite traumatic. If you're making a decision on a very important event in your life based upon cost versus making sure that you're making all the right decisions, in my opinion, I would rather have advice and legal counsel and know that I'm making the best decision possible. If you're anything like me, I don't want to wind up in a situation where I rushed through the process, I got divorced, and then 6 months later, when the dust settles and I reflect upon it, I have regrets. So if you're anything like me, I don't want to have regrets. I want to make sure that I understand the decisions I'm making in the divorce and I would make a decision based upon that. Should you have any additional questions about uncontested divorces or contested divorces, please give our office a call. We're here to help at Sauber Law Group. We're happy to schedule a consultation.